In this video, I want to share 10 things, all less than $50 that consistently improve my life day after day after day. Thing number 1, an electric toothbrush. If you haven't gone electric yet, you are missing out. This one by Aquasonic is what I've been using for the better part of 3 years, so right off the bat, yes, indeed, it lasts. And at just under $50 USD, it's also much less than legacy branded brushes, and best of all, the value with what comes in the box is awesome too. 8 heads total, each of which have a clear plastic cover, which also makes this a fantastic one-and-done option for travelers too. Since beyond the brush heads, it also ships with this travel case that can store the brush itself and 2 brush heads. I've used this at least twice daily for about 1,000 days, which means at a minimum of 2,000 brushes, the cost per use is less than 3 cents. That's some serious value. Next up, a large blender bottle, even if you don't use protein powders, and the reasons are simple. At 28 ounces or over 800 milliliters, staying healthily hydrated is easy with minimal trips to refill water. Second, it's so safe for preventing spilling because of its sealed screw top lid and its very secure click in and out drinking latch, which means whether it's on your bedside table or on your desk next to your computer, an accidental bump has much less risk of causing water damage to tech or an annoying cleanup. And lastly, with an anchoring loop, it means that even on minimal packing days like window shopping downtown or hiking, pairing it with an S-beaner means you've got quick access while freeing up both of your hands. Honestly, at about $12 US or 17 if you also pick up an S-beaner number 4 size, this is a near no-brainer purchase recommendation for pretty much every human being, regardless of age. Speaking of every human being, one thing that might seem odd for many is the next item on the list, a Swiss Army knife, specifically either a Victorinox Fieldmaster or Victorinox Huntsman. The reason I feel everyone should have one is not necessarily for everyday carry, but rather to just leave near the entryway of the home. With both a small knife and a large knife, unboxing any package as soon as you get home is a cinch. Not to mention, with scissors, opening envelopes is clean and simple as well. And with all the other tools, including the handy tweezers and toothpick, the usefulness per cubic inch is insane. And the main difference between the 2 models I recommend is that the Fieldmaster's got a Phillips head screwdriver, while the Huntsman's got a wine cork tool instead. All the other tools are identical. Next up on my list is an everyday carry pouch. I mainly use mine for work, but the core promise of an EDC pouch is that it's an organizer bag within your main bag. For work, when I'm here in Toronto, it's between the metal fab shop and client visits. At the shop, there's of course every tool I could ever need, but having this dedicated pouch means I can grab and chuck it into my computer bag when I head out to a client office for meetings to work through problems or do presentations, and that is awesome. But this extends so far beyond work. For travel, they serve as excellent mini packing cubes, so I can, for example, grab this pouch with all the video making accessories if I have a spare day in my travels to film stuff for YouTube. When it comes to selection, the world's really your oyster, but we've got the Maxpedition Fatty, that's a crowd favorite. We've got these options from Alpaca, which have been my personal preference, while EDC community micro brands like the notorious EDC, Data Crew, and loads of others ensure that whatever your preference is in shape, storage options, exterior materials, and whether there's loop Velcro to personalize with RE patches, you are guaranteed to find something that works well for your unique storage and organization needs. Next on my list are slim non-slip hangers, and hear me out. If I could, I would personally prefer to hang as much clothing as possible, even regular t-shirts, because when it comes to laundry, the act of folding is both the most time-consuming and most potentially wrinkle-causing. The problem is, button-ups, golf shirts, and hoodies can easily slip off of traditional wood, wire, or plastic hangers unless I spend the time to button the top buttons or zip up all the way. And as you can see, with more aggressive turbulence than any of your clothes would ever experience in your closet or wardrobe, these aren't going anywhere because of how grippy the velvet texture is. And at less than $20 US for a pack of 50, I mean, I don't even own that many button-ups and zip-ups combined, so for many folks, splitting a pack with a friend is the move to make. Next on my list, a pen that's... Wait, how do I even phrase this? A pen that's worth remembering not to lose. No matter how digital we get, a pen is still something that's necessary at least a few times a year. Even if you're not a notebook weirdo like me who uses one every day. But most pens have this nasty habit of disappearing. And part of that is because they often feel quite disposable. But a pen doesn't have to break the bank to be cherished. I mean, I've been using these Lamy Safari fountain pens for so many years. That being said, for most people, especially if you think you'll start carrying a pen with you daily, I would not necessarily suggest diving immediately into a fountain pen for everyday carry, and would instead recommend the Lamy Safari Rollerball pen, just for a bit more of what most folks are used to when it comes to the overall user experience of a pen. Next on my list may not apply to you, but with something nice to write with, it might be worth considering something to write in. And my recommendation, especially if you're not someone who is used to making notes frequently, is this 5-year diary by Midori. At about $25 USD, it's real simple. 5 short lines per day to reflect back at the end of each day, and at the end of each year, flip back to the January 1st page and start all over again. This ends in small daily snippets that years or even decades later, you can revisit, and better yet, if you have or eventually have kids, give them a true glimpse into your life and the real you, even after you're gone. But if you decide to pick one up, there doesn't have to be any pressure to fill it in every single day the way I do. You may choose to only fill something out when something truly remarkable happens. It's been the one true constant in my life every single day since January 1st, 2024. And now, more than a year and a half later, my only regret is not discovering it even sooner. Next on my list is this air duster, and I cannot believe I only discovered these types of tools a year ago. With handy USB Type-C charging, the sheer output is incredible. What I appreciate most about this thing is how much money that's ultimately saved compared to buying these types of disposable cans of compressed air, plus the added versatility. With 3 power modes indicated by the 3 blue LEDs over here, when I'm doing delicate tasks like cleaning the sensor on my cameras, I can go low mode, but more critically, unlike those disposable cans that turn ice cold and carry some risk of use when, say, held upside down, with this guy I can send air in any position without that risk. I'll typically use the middle power setting when getting dust out of the keyboard of my computer, and of course, go full blast for heavier dirt. With the average price of a disposable can being about $5, if you ever have a need for high output air, something like this is in my opinion a non-decision, even from just the perspective of your wallet. Next up, a wristwatch, and you might be thinking, what the heck? We all have a phone which tells the time. However, 0 notifications, which means from a workday or productivity standpoint, a glance at your wrist doesn't carry along with it the potential distraction of all the apps vying for your attention. Do that enough times in a day and you can easily lose 1 or even 2 of your precious 24 hours to just waiting to start. Something weird happens to me with the wristwatch, where no doom scrolling, just noting the time and then getting things done. When it comes to specific watches, if you've been with me for a bit, you already know my top recommendation for the masses, the Casio A168W. With an MSRP of $30 but very often available for less even on Amazon, it's got such a cool retro look adored by regular Janes and Joes like me, but also by so many celebrities. And with its retro design language combined with its smaller case size, it's great for virtually any size wrist, including women and even teenagers. If, however, you prefer the analog look, a Timex Expedition would be the top recommendation under $50, available in so many colorways. And if you're in the market for your first serious watch, Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical or the Seiko Alpinist are always near the top of my list of recommendations on the more expensive end. But again, Casio A168W for everyone. Before moving on to the 10th and final item on this list, if there's anything that gives you a ton of value that's $50 or less, let us know down in the comments so everyone can benefit from your experience. But now, on to the last item on my list, which are these less than $5 stackable boxes with lids from IKEA. You see, all the little stuff that ends up piling up in our lives can make our homes feel super cluttered because things don't have a dedicated categorical home to keep them in. And as you can see, pairing a bunch of them with removable labels and leveraging how well they stack, we can create one component of a foolproof home organization system. And if you want to see the nitty-gritty details of how I've implemented this system, you will definitely want to watch this video right over here. I'll leave it on screen for a few seconds so you have time to click or tap, but while you're doing that, if you got value from this video, consider subscribing and hitting that bell so you'll be notified the moment new videos just like this one drops.